I pissed off a whole bunch of conservatives. Let's get into it. So for those that don't know, I was invited on Jubilee's show called Surrounded, where Michael Knowles from the Daily Wire was invited as a hero to sit in the center of about 20 LGBT advocates, including myself, there to debate him on certain stances that we did not know prior to going into the show.
In terms of reality, I'm gay married.
Ooh.
Right? Like, what is the point of this conversation?
Because you're not really married.
I'm sorry. I'm going to outright call you a fascist.
Oh, no.
And say that what you're saying is hate speech.
I have XX chromosomes, Michael.
You have XX chromosomes.
Yeah, would
Okay.
you call me she, her now?
I don't. I'll
Looks like
I'll defer to you. Hello, I'm Michael Knowles. I'm a conservative podcast host at the Daily Wire. I'm an author and I'm a cigar salesman of Mayflower Cigars. And today, I am surrounded by 20 LGBTQ plus activists.
When I entered into this show, I was debating whether or not that this is actually a topic for me, considering how much I actually agree with conservatives. What we knew is it was one conservative versus 20 LGBT advocates. We didn't know who it was until we got there. What I will say is when I was chosen to speak to Michael, it was with 90 seconds to spare. I had 90 seconds to make an impact on one of the most influential conservative members, but also get a point across for the audience in which it's watching. You all have entrusted in me over the years to project your voice in a way that is most effective to getting the goal done. The goal that I set out for was to reform the LGBT community. I made that very clear from the beginning of my content that my goal is to reform and reframe my community from within. During that time, I was able to understand in ways that my community was affecting this country and this world, and that was through education. I learned very quickly what is happening within our education system, our government political system, but most importantly, how to fix the problems that all of you have been enduring and placed in front of me to advocate for you to get them fixed. I am not a creator that's going to sit here and give you the rainbows and daisies or a narrative that's going to make you feel good, trigger you into donating to me, or doing anything outside of the truth and getting the job done. That is my role here, and right now, that's my focus. While I have respect for Michael Knowles and the Daily Wire and the things that they accomplished with the vast amounts of money that they bring, they would be a liar if they told you that the money wasn't the furnace of the center of why they do what they do. I make no money doing any of this. I'll show you screenshots here on the screen. I don't make money doing this. I have no private interest to gain in whether or not I tell you guys the truth or not. The only thing that I get is a better country. Watching Michael Knowles debate my community opened my eyes to seeing that he is not interested in changing the minds of the people in which he advocates against, which means what is his goal with saying certain things? For those that have been following me for a while, I have gone into the heart of pride multiple times, talking about ultra-sensitive topics that have polarized our country in the heart of the beast, in the mouth and the belly of the beast every year. The question I have for all the people that disagree with me, that don't want to follow me anymore, that place judgment against me, why is it that I'm able to walk into pride and articulate the same exact arguments that Michael Knowles pushes on his platforms? However, when I leave these events, I leave with more supporters, more followers, and thank yous from my own community pushing banning pride flags out of classrooms, making sure that parents are in the know with their child's education when it comes to their gender identity, making sure that conservatives are placed in positions of power to make sure that we protect these children from the ideological influences that have transcended on our classrooms. How would one teach a kid, let's agree 8 or 9, about gay, lesbian, and bisexual? What would you say?
I think love can be taught without sex. I think love and caring can be taught without sexuality and without sexual orientations and all of that. I think if you show that you can be loved by everyone and you can show love to everyone, that is a comfortable, safe place to go. Instead of teaching sex, you can teach love.
Love is equal.
That's a big thing. I ask this question a lot, and that's the number one answer that I hear is this is about love. So when you think about LGBT, right, inclusivity, we're going to have to deep dive into some sort of attraction that makes you different than heterosexuals.
Right.
Don't you think it would be a little bit easier or a little bit better for our community if we just taught kids, regardless of who someone is, regardless of what they look like, just be nice? You might not agree, and you don't even need to understand, but just be nice to the person. Would you say that?
Love is equal. Love should be equal on all fronts.
Why is it that I'm able to do that? However, Michael Knowles is not. Michael Knowles has the millions of dollars to help him in his journey with his advocacy. I watched Michael Knowles intentionally trigger the individuals in the room. Now, you guys may like that kind of content. You may like it when Michael Knowles tells the LGBT community what's what and what's truthful and laying it out as it is. But these are the individuals I have to stare at and try to convince them why the parental rights and education bill is so important. Why is it that the pride flag shouldn't be in classrooms? Those are the two biggest topics that I touch on when it comes to the LGBT community. When Michael Knowles pushes an agenda that triggers these individuals, we lose before we even start. I'm going to tell you guys a story that I don't talk about, but I'm going to talk about it today. I was a part of an organization that I chose to leave because of how the messaging was being pushed. Now, the reason that I chose that route was because when I was traveling our country to advocate for the parental rights and education bill, I often had to explain to people what a boomer is in regards to our education system. And it really took me back because I thought that this was mainstream. I thought everyone knew what this was. I had to explain to people what it was, but also I had to explain to the people of Hawaii who have a tradition where men do dress up as women as a cultural thing that they do as to why men dressing up as women is bad. To them, that's going against hundreds of years of culture for them. So when I realized that our country's vast, it's very different in how we all live our lives from state to state, city to city, community to community, I learned right then and there that if I don't change the way that I present my arguments, I'm going to lose that battle before I even start. Approaching government elected officials, school board members, city council members, senators, congressmen, and women, when I approach them, I have to be very, very strategic in getting your voice heard. The reason I'm so passionate about this is because when Michael Knowles pushes a message online that demonizes a group of people, how am I supposed to convince these people that that stance is correct when they've already shut down before the argument even starts? Before the debate even starts, before the facts even start, they are already closed off to the conversation and want nothing more to do with conservatives, the conversation, or anything to do with helping our movement. Living in a state where you don't have to care about whether or not you need Democrat votes is a privilege that I don't have the pleasure of living. I live in California where we have a vast amount of Democrats. I have to project a message in a way that resonates with them so they remain open-minded to be able to hear the actual factual information of the decisions that they make. For instance, when you talk to an LGBT member and you tell them that pride should be banned completely, that already triggers them. Michael Knowles knows this. But if the goal is to just have a triggering conversation, say the stance. Say it. I have no problem with it. I think pride should be banned. I agree with him on that.
As the former mayor of Santa Ana that hosted the Pride Parade, it's certainly different than what we saw on screen. There were families, there were people, parents like me, that were supporting their children who are queer and gay. And there is nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with supporting people that you love, allowing people to go ahead and live out their lives. So,
Supervisor Sarmiento, what happened? I thought this was a family-friendly drag show that you oversaw as the mayor of Santa Ana. So you're telling me that grotesque, oversized breasts is appropriate. You're saying penis pillows is appropriate. And these outfits are also appropriate. And let's not forget that gigantic boobies are appropriate for children. That is what you condone. That is what you advocate for. And I took time out of my schedule to prove this to you because it needs to end. I agree that LGBT is a social contagion. I agree with that statement. What I don't agree with is that that statement and those stances actually convince people that we're right. Those stances and those statements shut down the receiver from any message that we want to provide them moving forward. So educating them on why notifying a parent of a child that changes their gender identity helps save them from suicide, they don't want to hear it anymore. They're already triggered by what you said right in the beginning. And you know who also acts like that? Senators, congressmen and women, governors, city council members, school board members, the list goes on. The individuals that I have to convince to implement policies that actually help our movement. So yes, when I watch a conservative hurt ourselves, when I watch a conservative do something that truly hurts the conservative movement so we can actually make change in this country, it bothers me. Because I have to be the individual that goes in front of these elected officials and try to convince them to vote yay or nay on the policies that will actually help our country. A lot of people are upset that I didn't let them speak. I'll be honest, I had 90 seconds. I had 90 seconds to make a point to this man, and I tried my best. I've never in my life have been in a situation that intense before. The layout, the environment, everything put me on edge for simply just being there. I was the only conservative surrounded by a whole bunch of LGBT advocates for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, listening to them. Then I had to debate Michael Knowles in front of these individuals. And it was a very pressure tense moment. My anxiety was high. I was nervous. This was one of the largest platforms I've ever been on. And I know that I'm going to come in with a topic that is not going to resonate with the conservatives because it goes against the conservative movement a little bit. This is what concerns me. The LGBT community gets told no a little bit and they lose their minds. They go crazy. They call you homophobic, transphobic, every name in the book. They say you're trying to end their lives. They say you're trying to eradicate them. They say that you're coming for their rights. They go ballistic the moment you give them a little bit of pushback.
I really liked chatting with all of them, and they have a great deal of my sympathy.
I think Michael Knowles is annoying, to be quite honest.
Disrespectful and kind of unintelligent.
I think he's a fucking Nazi.
The way that they usually dishonestly present my views is that I hate them or that I want to kill them or something like that, which I don't. I've explicitly said that I don't.
What is the difference here? As a collective of a conservative movement, we can't sit here and say that the way that Michael Knowles presents his arguments is actually helping Democrats become conservative. Now, we may have some, but I'm talking about the small hole-in-the-wall cities that have less than 20,000 voters, and those individuals who aren't famous, have hardly any influence, get a knock on their door from someone that wants to talk to them about why they should vote conservative after they've seen the rhetoric that the Daily Wire pushes, Matt Walsh pushes, Valentina from Missouri pushes. When they see the ultra polarizing ways that they describe these topics, I am at the mercy of that judgment. So when I walk into that door, I have to do everything possible just to get them to hear me out, because if they can at least hear me out, there is a chance that they might actually vote in favor for the policy that will actually save individuals. When I went and advocated in the state of Hawaii, I carried around a purse so it desensitized Democrats to know I am part of the LGBT community, lets them know that they support my community, and already starts the topic before I even say anything that I am on your side. That is very important, because when they see that I am on their side, they are more open and receptive to the message. And that's all that this came from, was the way you present your conversation can trigger the receiver. The message that is being received is on the responsibility of the communicator. Meaning, if I want my message to be understood by the receiver correctly, I have to communicate it in a way that resonates with them. That's why I kept telling Michael, you need to meet people where they're at. If you meet someone that isn't going to get triggered by these statements, have that raw, harsh conversation. Go ahead. But when you actually have 20 individuals that are ultra sensitive and have already started to not like you, Why wouldn't you want to choose a conversation that peels back the layers for the individual and helps them to understand and resonate with your message? Because when you choose to do that, there's a chance that these individuals who became resistors can now be followers. The Daily Wire has an objective. They make millions of dollars from the individuals that subscribe to their content. They need to make sure that that content is appealing to you. They need to make sure that that content is being seen by you, that it's getting engagement, that it is triggering enough to get people to push the video out there so they can actually make revenue. I don't. I don't need the money. I don't want the money. I don't ask for the money. I don't raise the money. I make, I think, like $5 to $10 a month doing my content. I don't make anything. So for me, the only motivation I have here is truly making a better country. I don't care whether or not I get tons of views, likes, comments, shares. That's why I've started focusing on my personal life and engaging with the conservative movement and the conservative elected officials to try to influence our communities to be able to build like sanctuary schools when it comes to government overreach, indoctrination and parental rights, making sure that you guys are able to find places that you can flock to for you and your family and yours so you can remain safe, so your kids can remain safe, so that us as a conservative movement have a livelihood moving forward. You guys may not like the stance that I took with Michael. That's fine. You guys may not like how I presented that to Michael. That's fine. But what you guys cannot do is judge me as a conservative because I simply want to take an extra step in ensuring that the message that I push resonates with the people that is being received by. I'm very, very passionate about this. I've sacrificed my safety, my livelihood, my well-being, my job to be able to project your guys' voices out there without making any money to provide myself with security, without being able to secure my safety with my family. These are the sacrifices that I have made to be able to pass policies that actually help our movement, that protect you. When I see individuals hurting those efforts, I take it personally because it is personal to me. I've devoted every single aspect of my life to passing policy and influencing the LGBT community, and now our country. These efforts mean a lot to me because you guys mean a lot to me. And you mean so much to me that I will not sit back and allow myself to fall down a rabbit hole of doing things for clicks and views, doing things for the money. I would rather be honest with you, lose followers, get the vitriol and the hate, and continue pushing than be worried about how much money I'm making, that I'm making sure that my content triggers people and is viewable, that it's getting engagement. I would rather have your voices heard where it actually matters. And that's in the political offices where these policies are passed that the conservatives don't like. For example, I approached the Orange Unified School District and I told one of the people on the dais my name and the organization that I was with. They were immediately shut off. They didn't want to talk to me. They didn't want to see me. They didn't want to answer any of my emails. I didn't stand a chance with that Democrat school board member ever hearing my voice, hearing your voice. I could be right in the stance that I have. The data could back me up. Everything can back up the argument that I bring. But if they're shut down before I even walk in that door, does it even matter? I don't think so. I stand open and ready to fly myself over to the Daily Wire and continue this conversation with more than 90 seconds so we can actually allow people to engage. I would encourage those that judge me for not letting Michael Knowles speak to go check out all of my content where there's unlimited time where I have these debates. But in 90 seconds, it's a tall order to allow someone to filibuster. I enjoyed debating Michael Knowles. As a matter of fact, we took some photos at the end, and he was pretty shocked when he found out the history of my advocacy, and we had a great conversation. So much so that he actually gave me one of his cigars. So this was a cigar. Thank you, Michael, for giving this to me. I'm saving it. Maybe I'll bring it to the Daily Wire if you choose to have this conversation with me. But overall, even off camera, Michael and I had a decent conversation and were able to shake hands. I just wish that there was more time to have that discussion, because it really, really would have allowed us to go down a rabbit hole of a good back and forth where we both can see that the way we approach arguments really, really matters in influencing those around us. What I will say at the end here is that I don't hate the LGBT community. These are my people. While I dislike a lot of the things that my community brings, don't forget that I was influenced by them. I was indoctrinated by them. I was a part of that community once. I have an empathy for these people because I was these people. When they are scared and tell Michael Knowles that they're scared of the things that he says, I used to be that person. And when I look at these individuals, I have more compassion and empathy for them because I was there. I believed the things that media was telling me, the government officials were telling me, my local congressman was telling me. I was believing the news, the media, social media influencers. I was believing it all until I chose not to. And when I chose not to, it really opened the light for me to be able to see that, wow, this is not the movement I want to be a part of. And I chose to walk away. I want more individuals to resonate with that from the LGBT community, because I want them to walk away from the toxic behaviors that that community perpetuates that I've gone over for years. The only way to do that is if I meet these individuals where they are at. And that takes patience, compassion, an ability to articulate a message that resonates with them so they remain open to hearing it all. And maybe, just maybe, they walk away from that conversation doubting the stances that they've had thus far, questioning themselves and our own community, and maybe one day actually changing their vote. You guys mean a lot to me. This entire time I've advocated for all of you has meant so much to my heart and has brought me a lot of purpose. But I'm not going to do it at the expenses of lying to you. And for me, if you guys want to resonate with the Daily Wire and the things that they do and how they do it, you're more than welcome to. I'm not going to tell you not to. I stand open and ready to continue this conversation with Michael, or anyone for that matter. And so if you guys want to see me speak and continue speaking with Michael Knowles, tag him in the comments of this video and see if we can get it out there. I'll pay for the flight. I'll pay for the hotels. All they got to do is just let me go. But you guys, it has been an honor to serve all of you for all this time. And I will continue to serve all of you even when you doubt me. Because at the end of the day, the journey that we're going on is actually making change. And I appreciate all the support and love that I get from this community, because at the end of the day, it's all of you and God that have my back. Much love from me, and I hope it hits all of your hearts.